Hi guys, this is Carlos from Wordpress Tech. Today I'm going to show you how to create a user registration form using Formidable Pro. If you want to allow your users to create their registration, this is the way to go. In here, this was what you were doing the last time we met. So you created a form with Formidable Pro, a very easy form with Formidable Pro, where we inserted some checkboxes, some single line text, some paragraph text, some drop downs, and this is the submit button. So anytime I feed in an information here and I submit this button, this in this form over here are going to be registered in my system. Today we want to have a look at how to create a registration form for any user that comes onto your page. So to do that, if you are not a pro user, then probably you can have this done. But if you're a pro user, there is an add-on called Formidable Registration Add-on. So immediately you go to your account, you go to your downloads, you can easily download this over here. Now I have mine downloaded over here for myself. Okay, so this is how we are going to go with this registration form. In your WordPress dashboard environment, you quickly move to plugin because the add-on is a plugin. Okay, so since we now have Formidable form over here, so we want to install another plugin manually, so you go to add new. Okay, now we don't have any internet connection, and here you have an error over here. Since we want to do a manual upload, which is a manual installation of the plugin, this is what I'm going to do. You come to your plugin, okay, then you choose the file you're interested in. And today we are interested in Formidable registration, just the one that we downloaded from the Formidable Pro site. Okay, so you're going to select the Formidable registration. You open this. After this done, you just click on install. So all is done now. We can now move to our plugin site to see if our registration form is ready. It's not ready, so the only thing left for us to do now is to activate this, and we are fine. Then we are being notified that the user registration license key is missing. So to actually fix that, you got to go to your global settings and you make sure you put in a registration key over here, okay, that you're actually going to download from this particular site. So you move to your license and you can get your license registration key there and use it to actually feed in over here with your internet connection, and you make sure this is fully activated before you can actually use it. So I'm going to activate this and get back to you. Okay guys, I have fully activated my Formidable registration license key now, so everything is good to go. So then the next thing to do now is to go back to our forms. Once back to our form, you realize that the tech that we are dealing with the other time, that was how to build a form. Okay, you just added some few interfaces over here to this form to make it a whole. So let's go back to our form, and this is, I have a predefined user registration form over here, users and member registration form. So we're going to open that form. It's very easy to actually build this form. To build this form, you first of all need a file upload for any avatar of the user. Okay, that is so optional. It's somewhere along the line in this particular area here. So this is the file upload. So let's look at the file upload functionalities. So as this being the file upload type of our Formidable fields, it's not that required. You don't want it to be a read only. And then this is the alignment that we want for this form over here. Okay, our CSS layout alignment. Okay, and you want it to be positioned at the right side. So we want some specific file formats, okay, for this particular file upload. So what you want is this. You want the JPEGs and we want the PNGs. Okay, but if you are interested in allowing your users to upload any other file format, it's all up to you to define that. And I don't want my users to use more than 1 megabyte. Okay, so for the file upload, this is what you got. So we have a text field. Okay, a text field which is just a single line text field, and this is mainly for a full name category, but a full name needs to be required. Okay, for any registration you need a full name, and you need to make the full name unique because you don't want data duplication. Okay, so we need to actually make this unique so that the next time when somebody adds Joe and you are also about to add Joe, will tell you this user already exists in the system. Okay, so for the layout, we want the first form to be the half. Okay, so it will be aligned to the left side but then in a half way. Okay, that is what it means by first form half. So the layout can be gotten over here. Okay, so the first form and the half, this is what has made this particular CSS layout over here. So we want the size of this particular box over here to be 300 pixels, okay, not more than that. So we have username, okay, we have a username field which is also required and very unique because you can't have two users at the same time. So we want a CSS to be a first form half to be aligned on the left side, okay, just like what you have over here, and we want the same size to be 300. You can decide not to put in any size allocation here. Right, so we have a password field, okay, a password field which is also required but not probably unique for the password. So you decide on what you want and what you want to do at the time. This phone number field over here, it's required, okay, but then it's all up to you to also decide on this one. I have decided to actually require this because we need a phone number for this particular user depending on the system you're building. Okay, so we have a look at this address over here. The email address is totally required and needs to be unique. Are you okay? Totally required and needs to be unique. So the next thing you got to do over here, you can leave the rest of this area here, it's just for other checks. So you do this, and the next thing we want to do is to go to our settings. So once in our settings, we want to show the form with a confirmation message. We want to validate this form with JavaScript. You want to validate it with Ajax and all that. So on your own preferences, that's what you gotta do. So what do I want for this front end view? I want to actually, the rule requires to edit one's entry. So any login user can actually edit his own profile information, okay, but the rule that is required to actually edit every user's information, that is an administrator. So you can decide to show messages on updates or what you or the rest you want to do. So what I want over here is that, so the style that I want, you are using a default style, okay. We have many styles over here that we can possibly invite into our form, but we want to use the default style for now. We'll learn how to bring in styles in our next tutorial. So the next thing here, we want to, the button, our submit button to do for us is register. We can also say register user, okay, as simple as that. And for the update, we want to say update user. So where do you want the button to be? I want the button to be center aligned, right? So on submit, you want some messages to go to your users. So on submit, we want to say that congratulations, this 70 over here means the ID of our particular box that is holding our username, which is the username over here, and the box is 70. Okay, that's the ID. So we are welcoming this username to our EdCatech world. Okay, so on updates, this is the information that we want the user to actually see. So you're going to try this thing out to see how it actually looks. But to do that, you need to update your form over here. Okay, so we move to our form actions. This is exactly where everything is going to begin. Okay, so for our registration, you need to invite our registration form here. Alright, so if you want to create a registration form, it's just a matter of clicking on register user, okay, and this form will actually appear over here. So on this form, we need to match the user registration to what has been predefined in our WordPress environment. Okay, so this is what you see over here. So whatever you match over here will actually match with our WordPress environment users. Are we there? So let's check out our users and see for now how many users do we have in the system. We have only one user, who is Carlos, okay, governed by edcatech@gmail.com, and he is an administrator. So we want to go back and see our user registration form. Okay, so in our form option, in the registration form, this is what we got. Okay, so we want the email to match our email box in our user registration form. Okay, alright, so our username wants to match our username in our user registration form, the password to match the password field in our user registration form, your full name to match the full name in our user registration form, and over here we don't have a last name, so we leave this thing as none. So the name, the display name that you want for your user, for instance, when the user logs in, what do you want the user to see? So you want the user to see our full name. Okay, so this is what you have selected over here. So just like what is happening over here. Okay, so when the user logs in, we want to see how the Carlos, so Carlos should be what, our full name over here. So the role of any user you create in the system, how do you want it to be? Do you want every user to be an administrator of your system, or you want every user to be a subscriber of your system? So in this case, you want our users to be a subscriber in our system. Is that right? So for the avatar is just actually the image that you want to use for every user, just in case you want to know your users by an image. Okay, recognize them by an image. So we can choose this particular field, which is please upload the avatar image, which coincides with the file upload that we actually brought in our form creation. So you want to automatically log in the users after you submit this form. Probably I don't want this to happen. Okay, so I still want to maintain my position after I submit this form. Now the next thing to do here is to probably think of a redirect. Okay, so if you want to redirect your information here, you can actually do this, and we are not so much interested in working in any of these particular areas over here. So what you want to do over here is to leave this place blank, or probably if you want to notify any user, what you got to do here is we want to say Edcatech is notifying you here. Okay, so we want to say edcatech@gmail.com. okay, to notify you that you have actually created your user information. Okay, so we want to update this field here and quickly go to our form, see if you have our user registration form intact over here. Alright, so let's look at the ID of this form. So at the ID of this form, it's ID7, sorry. So the ID of this form is ID7. So on any page we want to bring the user registration, we need to make sure the ID of this form should be 7. Is that right? So this is how that is done. We learned that from our previous tutorial. So we go to our pages. Okay, so previously in our pages we have the menu and we have the form page. So we want to edit our form page so that in this form page over here we want to see the user registration form. Alright, so on this page, let's first of all look at a layout of this page. We want this page to actually display things in the middle. Okay, no sidebar. So we want to see a full page displaying our user registration. So this is what we are going to do. So now let's probably bring in the form that we actually designed for the user registration, and ideally it should be ID7, but then we want to do that using our Formidable interface. So we want a form to be inserted. We want to insert a form, so we can insert our users, and you can see that this is ID7. So we want to insert this user, and we don't need this particular form anymore, so we can clean the form. Okay, or we edit this form to be 7 and we better erase this particular one. So what you have to do now is to update the page over here. Okay, and quickly dash to your main interface, and let's reload this side and see what happens. So let's right click and say we want to reload this page. Definitely this is what we got. Okay, so our user information and registration form is right over here for us to use. Okay, we can all see this. So you can equally decide to make sure or select a better CSS layout for this file upload to make sure it is right over here. Okay, if you want to do that, I think our form layout is what is causing that. Let's select a left sidebar and update this record and quickly dash here and click on our form page. Okay, I think the layout was what was causing the whole issue here. Okay, so the layout will define where you want to see your thing. Okay, so we now have our registration form over here. Okay, well formatted over here. So we can now begin to input our full name, our username, password, number, and the email address. Okay, and after that we submit to the system. But now that's one thing we need to take caution of. You need to make sure you are logged out in this case. Okay, because when any user comes to your site, it's going to be logged out before he or she creates a user information here. So let's quickly log out our site here. Alright, so you can see there is actually no user on this page anymore. So now we can do our registration now. But then if you are logged in before you do this registration, what is going to happen is that they are just going to update your current profile information. So you need to be very careful by logging out before you can re-enter a new user here. But then ideally any user at all should be outside this particular system and log in into the system. So this is what I'm going to do. You want to register somebody like John Smith, and the user should be John. Okay, you want a password to be John. Okay, and probably a phone number 00000, an address to be john@gmail.com. okay, so you want to upload a file for John. That is only on your own interest, but we don't want to do that now. Let's quickly register the user, okay, as John. So John will now be a subscriber over here. So you can see that congratulations John, welcome to Edcatech, or kindly blah blah blah. So let's quickly check out our users to see if our user has been really registered in the system. So now let's go to users. Let's see. Here we go. Bingo. So John Smith, john@gmail.com subscribers. So that is how we allow our users to enter the system. Thank you very much for watching.